Hi, welcome to another edition of United Artists Cover Story. I'm your host, Dawn Dodd, and today our cover story features the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. But before that, let's go take a look at Steve Ford, the car guy, and see what Steve Ford has for us this week.
Driving down the freeway or looking around any shopping center parking lot, it's common to see black marks where cars park or travel. And these are usually signs of automobiles that are leaking fluids. And small amounts of fluids don't represent a major problem, but if they become excessive, they may be a sign of upcoming mechanical or safety hazards. In order to know more about this, it's a good idea to recognize the various colors that fluids exhibit, and then you can identify colors that may be on your driveway or in the parking spot where you park your car. Okay, well here we have the 5 major types of fluids that your car is likely to leak. The most common being motor oil, which everybody's familiar with, and of course you check your oil every other gas fill-up, I'm sure. The reason we do that is because motor oil is likely to leak more frequently and more in greater volume, for that matter, than these other fluids I'm about to show you. Motor oil is a little bit thicker than vegetable oil in your kitchen that you can commonly find, and it tends to be a little bit more like a black fluid than the other fluids that we're going to talk about. Unless you just had your oil changed, it does become a darker fluid. Let's take a closer look at motor oil on a white sheet of paper so you can get an idea of the color and texture. Motor oil is always a blackish kind of a fluid, and it has a texture much like vegetable oil, maybe a little bit thicker. Fluid that can either be a reddish color or, in this case, a clear with a little bit of a yellow tint is power steering fluid. Power steering fluid functions much like automatic transmission fluid, and that's why you'll see it in either this color or the reddish color, but the texture in either case is much like vegetable oil. Let's take a look at this on the white paper. Power steering fluid and automatic transmission fluid both have pretty much the same texture. Now this is power steering fluid, it's more of a clear, while automatic transmission fluid is more of a reddish color. Taking a closer look at manual transmission oil or differential oil, you'll notice that it has much the same color as regular motor oil, but it has a much thicker feel to it, perhaps twice as thick as regular motor oil. Another common fluid you'll find is coolant. You wouldn't expect to see this on the driveway, but if you do, it's a very bright green fluid, and it tends to be thin, not as thin as water, but not as thick as motor oil. And coolant with a bright green color is really pretty easy to recognize. Okay, now the one clear fluid that looks like water almost when it's on the road or on your driveway surface is brake fluid. Now we'll pour this to see what the texture and color looks like because it has no color. But just so you can get a feel for it, it's probably the most slimy, the slipperiest of all the fluids. And most importantly, if you should ever see a clear, slimy fluid that looks like water but has a texture more like an oil, it's probably brake fluid, and it's the most important safety fluid you should be concerned with. Brake fluid is probably about the thinnest of all the fluids and probably the most clear in all cases. It has a very characteristic sliminess to it and reflects light off pavement and asphalt more than other fluids. In any case, if you see this fluid in particular, it's a safety hazard and you'll want to be very careful about letting your technician know about it. Okay, so there you have it. Not all fluids look alike, and you can discern one from the other by its color. In any case, if you ever have doubt, talk to your technician, especially in the case of brake fluid. That's a life-saving, important one. Keeping you car wise, I'm Steve Ford, the car guy.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Today we're talking multiple sclerosis, and I have 2 guests with me. I have Craig Weber. Hi, Craig.
Hi,
nice
Dawn. How are
to see
you?
you again. And I have Laura Mitchell.
Hello.
And Laura, you are a government issues coordinator, is that right?
Yes, for a coalition of all the California chapters of the MS Society.
Okay, and Craig, you are the executive director.
Of the Southern California chapter of the National Multiple Sclerosis Society.
Great. Well, let's start off first of all. What is multiple sclerosis?
Well, MS is a chronic disease of the central nervous system. It's a major disabler of young adults, usually diagnosed between the ages of 20 and 40. I like to tell people that MS really stands for miscellaneous because it can affect just about any part of the body, either temporarily or permanently. It can result in numbness, it can cause numbness, muscle weakness, spasticity, vision problems, lack of coordination. Usually these things don't all come at once, but any of them can affect a person with MS at any particular time. Quite often people with MS have periods when they have disability from the disease, and then it goes into spontaneous remission where there's improvement, either partial or complete, for a while, or sometimes, in some cases, people have one attack and then never experience another attack. But more commonly, there is a pattern of attacks followed by remissions, and these events can affect virtually any part of the body, as I said.
And you yourself, Laura, you do have multiple sclerosis,
Yes,
right?
I do. Yes, I do.
When did it affect you? When did it start?
It was diagnosed about 13 years ago, but I had symptoms that went back beyond that. It, especially in those days, was very difficult to diagnose. It's a little bit easier to diagnose now with the magnetic resonance imaging system, which can help, but the diagnostic process is still very difficult, and doctors usually depend on a history of this pattern of attacks and remissions affecting different parts of the body. That's part of the diagnostic process. And then they do some laboratory tests also to try to confirm it.
One of the reasons, or one of the questions you might have is why do you have such a wide variety of symptoms?
Right.
And it occurs because of the nature of the disease. It attacks the central nervous system, MS does, and the central nervous system is surrounded by a fatty substance known as myelin. And when a person has MS, this myelin is destroyed by the disease, and a scarring occurs. And wherever that scarring occurs to replace the demyelinization, you get essentially a short circuit in the nervous system. And so wherever that particular nerve might be, or wherever the nerve is heading, it can reflect a symptom. So some people will have symptoms relating to vision, others will have muscle control with the hand, or you could have auditory problems, but chronic fatigue being most common among all of them, and muscle weakness. But it can be just a tremendous variety of symptoms because of how the disease attacks the central nervous system.
Another thing that's very common with people with MS is a sensitivity to heat. And quite often when the body temperature goes up, symptoms get worse. Old symptoms that might have gone into remission sometimes reappear for a while, and then when the body cools down, that will go away. But heat can definitely be a problem.
Heat. What about cold?
Extreme cold can cause problems.
Cold
For
also?
me, extreme cold causes increased problems with spasticity. It makes it harder for me to walk because of that. But when there's extreme heat, then the muscles get weaker, the fatigue gets worse, and that makes it harder to walk. So the extremes are pretty bad either direction.
Yeah,
Summers are tough in
Yes.
Southern California for people with MS.
Right, it gets pretty hot. I know. Well, let's just pause for a minute. That's very interesting. When we come back, we'll get into it further. Okay? Hi, and welcome back. Our guests today are from the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. Okay, now let's speak about how your involvement, I should say, with the whole program and fundraisers and stuff. How did you get started?
Well, we raise funds from a variety of special events, as well as from direct donations from individuals. One of the major events for the Society and for the Southern California chapter in particular is our Super Cities Walk, which is, in a minute or two, we'll see a video clip of the one held last April, on April 5. And for our chapter, we raised over $900,000 in this particular event. We held it on 5 different sites throughout our service region. And those funds then are used to provide a wide variety of services to the client community which we serve. And there are about 4,500 people in our service area who have MS, and we provide services to them and to their families. And we also send a huge hunk of that money to the national office for their national programs, as well as for the funding of research.
Right. So you said this video is called Super Cities Walk?
It's the Super Cities Walk, and it was held across the country all in the same weekend on 230 different sites.
Oh, good.
And across the country, it raised about $20 million.
Great. Okay, that's good. Let's take a look at this.
This is the 1991 March of Dimes Super City Walk for Multiple Sclerosis. The walkers are beginning to register at the tables. Let's take a look at some of the scenes and people who showed up for this event today. We have today here the MS table, and excuse me, what is your name, please?
My name is Angela, and I'm a volunteer here. The table are some different things. We have a flyer on multiple sclerosis. We have something about the chapter here. This is the second most outstanding chapter in the nation. The first is New York, where the national headquarters are. They raise approximately $2 million for multiple sclerosis each year here at the Los Angeles chapter. And then we also have something which is of utmost importance, is the long-term initiative. And this applies for a lot of different things like cancer, multiple sclerosis, just basically saying that if you and I, when we get old, or if you and I become debilitated by some sort of disease like multiple sclerosis, that means that we can get long-term care. It'll be something like Social Security, just kind of taking care of ourselves in the long run.
Walkers are coming into one of the rest stops to get nourishment and massages. The stop is a welcome sight for many.
Names, please.
I'm Dr. Torres, and this is Dr. Torres.
Okay.
Scott Torres.
Scott and Amy.
Scott and Amy.
Yeah.
Scott and Amy, right?
Yeah,
okay.
that's close enough.
Your name?
Dr. Flint, Michael Flint.
Michael Flynn. And you're all orthopedic doctors?
No, we're doctors of chiropractic.
Oh, you're doctors. Okay,
This
because...
is our office up here. Sports Medicine Center. Physical
Okay.
medicine and sports rehabilitation.
And what are you going to do for everybody when they come by?
Well, it depends on what condition they're in. If they've gotten a little fatigued or if they've just got aching feet and their shoes don't fit right, we give them massages here.
Okay, and you're all volunteers and so forth?
Yeah, you come out Sunday and help support the walk and just have a good time. Enjoy the sunshine.
Is this your first time participating in the walk?
Yes, it is. We just recently moved here. So, yeah, this was our first time that we were involved with it.
What's your name?
Andrea Goldstein.
Is this your first year participating?
In this walk, yes.
Oh, then you've been in other walks?
Yeah, well, I was in the heart run a couple of weeks ago. I've just started getting into this. I do things for diabetes also, because my husband's diabetic, so I participate in the diabetic bike-a-thon or walk-a-thon.
How'd you hear about this?
I saw it in the newspaper, I believe. Or I saw it, where did I hear about this? Oh, at the heart run, I got some information on it.
Oh, okay. So you got some information there and decided to come out here?
Yes.
And,
Yes.
and what's the problem here?
A cramp in my right foot and my right leg.
Just
This is wonderful. Even if I didn't have a cramp, this is great.
You'd come by.
Absolutely.
Then I take it that you're recommending this for everybody.
Yeah, I go to a chiropractor regularly. This is wonderful.
Okay, so you'll be able to finish the course then?
Oh, I'm going to do it if I absolutely.
You'll be able to finish.
Right.
You're a night.
I'm going to take her with. And we'll stop every couple blocks. All right.
So this is definitely not going to take you out of the walk.
Absolutely not.
About how many people did you get to? Are you sponsoring?
Oh, about 4 or 5.
Okay, so you're going to raise a little bit of money for MS today.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you.
What's your name?
Cheryl.
Cheryl, is this your, what's exactly going on right here? What happened?
Nothing, my calves are a little tight.
Oh, so you decided to stop and get the massage?
Right.
And how's it feel?
Oh, wonderful.
First time participating?
Yes.
What do you think about it so far?
Oh, it's great. A lot of fun.
How many people are you sponsoring today?
I think 6.
About 6 people?
Yeah.
And since you said, is this the only walk that you have ever went on?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, so you love it.
First, and I really like it.
So that means you're going to be back, right?
You bet.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And what's your name?
Charles Shedrick. And this is Kwanzaa.
Kwanzaa. Oh, I like that. The beginning of the season, the harvest. Yes, the 7 principles, yes. Okay, is it your first time participating in the walk?
My first, her second.
Your second. Did you drag him down here?
Yes.
Did you really have to drag him down?
Tell the
Or
truth.
talk him into it?
Well, when I told him I was going to do it in Woodland Hills, he said, well, I can't just take you and leave you, so I guess I have to walk it with you. So I said, fine.
Okay.
Yeah, that's months ago.
Are you enjoying it so far?
Yeah, it's really enjoyable.
Made the entire 9 miles plus, huh?
Is that what it is? I don't even know what it was.
Do your feet feel it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you used to this?
Well, I go on walks, sanctioned walks, yes.
Yeah. That's great that you were here today.
Yeah, I think
How
so.
many stations did they have for you to stop and rest?
5.
5?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, it's, if you're not used to it, it could get on your thighs. But, depends. When I come to the rest stops, I don't stop that often. So that long, I should say. Have an orange and then on with it.
That helps, doesn't it?
Definitely.
Do you have many sponsors?
Yeah, well, a lot of my employees and myself and so forth. Right, yeah.
Great. Well, thanks.
Okay.
Why, I'm giving a special prize to the 86th person that crosses the finish line.
The 86th. How did you get to that number?
Well, that's my age.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, they get a autographed copy of my book,
Wonderful. What is your book?
Jumping How.
And can you tell us about that?
Well, Jumping How is an autobiography, and the reason we have
Camera there.
The reason we have the name Jumping How is because I originated the jump shot in basketball way back in 1920.
What's your name?
Harold Goodman, Jumping How.
So you've had a lot of people follow your lead since that point, right?
Well, my career consists of basketball. It consists of bicycle racing, track, takes in all kinds of sports.
We now find them resting, relaxing, intermingling. Flowers for some, hugs for others, refreshments for all. And what group were you with?
We're with the women of the motion picture industry, and we work on all kinds of community projects to aid the community, both industry-wise and community-wise. And we're out here today to help in the Multiple Sclerosis Marathon.
Wonderful. Let's take a final look at the seashore of faces of those present today.
Okay, that was terrific then. Now, how much did you say they raised?
We raised in our chapter over $900,000 from that one event.
Wow, boy, that's a good accomplishment. Now tell me, Laura, some of the programs and services that the National Society offers.
Some of the things that money goes to
Yeah.
fund. Well, I know for me, one of the most valuable things at the beginning was the peer counseling program and support group program.
Oh, yeah,
that brings people with MS together so that we can basically help each other,
Yeah.
and that is an extremely valuable service. And then, of course, I'm very high on the service that I'm involved with directly, which is the Government Issues Program.
Yeah, how does that work?
What we do is we work on legislation at the state level to try to meet the needs of people with MS in particular and people with disabilities in general. We do work with other groups in this area as well. I'm very pleased to say that a couple of the bills that have gone to the governor, hopefully for his signature, include amendments that we were able to get incorporated into the bill to meet the needs of the MS community. And we also work at the national level on things like the Americans with Disabilities Act. So these are very important things, and the reason these services are so important is MS is a chronic disease, but at present, even though there's research going on, there is no cure. So we have to live with the disease. We have to live with the uncertainty, and MS is a very uncertain thing to deal with. It's very unpredictable, can vary a lot from person to person, but also within one person, from day to day. It's very different.
Yeah.
And those services provided by the society become really, really important to helping deal with the disease.
Right, because you have to have things, you know, for number one, support, like you said, that's terrific.
And then there's an equipment loan program.
I can see where it's very important.
And there are a lot of very important services.
Right. We also have what we call a durable medical equipment, an equipment loan program, which either helps people acquire equipment on a cost-sharing basis, or we help them get them repaired, or we even have some that we own that we make available on a loan basis to those who need them. Because as a person goes through various stages of the disease, they need different types of equipment. We also have what's called a job raising program, which is helping people stay employed by working with their employers for appropriate modifications so they can continue working. We also have a program that's helping people return to the workforce. And clearly those kinds of activities have a tremendous economic impact, not only for the individual, but by being gainfully employed, they then know they are not a burden to their families or to the state as well. So we're very, very pleased and proud of that particular program. We run a variety of counseling groups. We have some occupational therapy and physical therapy programs, gentle yoga,
that's
some
very important too.
Aquatic exercise classes in accessible pools. And these are all extremely important. In addition, we have a respite care program because there are individuals who have, may have a very pronounced and chronic and progressive form of the disease, for whom the caregiver may need a respite from the caregiving. There may be some other family member that they need to see or take care of, and so we have a program in place to provide a break for those individuals as well. One of the many programs that goes on. So and then there are special interest groups in the counseling programs for singles, for married, for young people, young adults, that we always try to respond to and develop.
Boy, they offer so much. That's wonderful. Okay, I'm going to have to break one more time, please, and we'll be right back. We're speaking multiple sclerosis. Hi, we're back, and I'm speaking with my guests from the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. Okay, Craig, I'd like to ask you a question about how many people does this affect throughout the country?
We estimate that there's approximately 250 to 350,000 people across the country who have MS.
Wow.
And there are about 200 cases diagnosed each week, so that number continues to grow upwards. Our service area, which consists of Los Angeles County as well as San Bernardino, Riverside, and Inyo counties, obviously it's a huge geographic area, has about 4,500 people who have MS that we provide services to. And if people are in need of help, or if they would like to volunteer and help the chapter in any way that they are interested in, they should contact us at our office in Glendale, and we have two phone numbers, 818-247-1175, and we also have an 800 number, which you use, but I forget.
It's 1-800-2-HELP-MS.
Okay, great. All righty then. I guess we'll have to leave now, but thank you very much for coming in today. Thank you both. Okay, well, multiple sclerosis is a very serious disease we cannot overlook. This has been another edition of United Artists Cover Story. I'll see you next week.